WeatherScope.
Well, there you see it, all the salt trucks, the plows, they're rumbling down the streets in the Appalachians. This is Avery, North Carolina last night and early this morning. Just some of the snows from the huge winter storm that's headed very slowly up the southeast coast. And aside from that very heavy snow in the Appalachians, we have the high winds and the heavy rains making for a very serious flooding threat in through Virginia, and we've had flooding problems all the way down through South Carolina and into Georgia. With the details on this violent East Coast storm, here's Kristen Dodd in our forecast center. Kristen?
Thanks a lot, Mark, and it definitely is a powerhouse. As you mentioned, we have had problems with flooding. We have flash flood warnings in effect for northeast Georgia, including the town of Athens, and we're also seeing flash flooding taking place in areas in North Carolina, Virginia, southwest corner of Virginia in particular, and also in Maryland, in Montgomery County and Howard County, and we also have had reports of flooding in D.C. So we have heavy rain. That's just one aspect, though, of the storm. The other one is the heavy snow, and that is causing a lot of problems as well, not just on the roadways, but also with widespread power outages in the path of this storm. Here is that storm right here, the area of low pressure that's now beginning to skirt up the South Carolina coastline, heading slowly toward Wilmington. You can see the tightly packed isobars here, and the winds are coming around. They're even affecting Florida still, as winds along the coastline here have been reaching 40 to 45 mile an hour in gusts throughout the morning hours. Here's what we're looking at as far as the moisture that continues to come around our low, and it's coming from very far to the south and entering the mid-Atlantic region, and that is where we're also seeing the heavy rain and then the snow setting up where we do have the pocket of colder air. Earlier we did have snow reported just to the west of Atlanta in the town of Dallas, as much as 2 inches of snow, with a little bit of mix taking place earlier in Atlanta. We do still have a pocket of cooler air sitting back here with our area of low pressure in the upper levels. That will come swinging through, and for that reason there is a possibility of a little bit of more snow for Atlanta, and you are under winter weather advisories for tonight. The flooding, though, is definitely a problem, especially in the areas where you're seeing the darker shades of green, as that is the area that's getting heavy rain in the Delmarva Peninsula, Chesapeake Bay area, and up toward Norfolk. And we're also seeing the heavy rain again with the flooding conditions now in the northeast corner of Georgia. Farther to the north, look at this. Now, if it were springtime, I'd say we have severe weather breaking out, but this is heavy snow as it's cutting across Cincinnati and also up toward Charleston, Lexington. Our viewers there have been emailing us, and they say we have 12 inches of snow on the ground there. Light snow now beginning to enter into Evansville, and this area in Indiana is under a winter storm warning, and it looks like Indianapolis, you're going to get clipped by this later on today. As far as official snowfall totals in Overton County, Tennessee, just to the east of Nashville, you have a foot on the snow on the ground as of 7 a.m. I want to stress that time because we are getting more snow as we speak. In the Laurel Highlands and Seven Springs, 3 inches. Officially, Louisville, 1 inch. But again, it does continue to come down, and we will continue to update these numbers throughout the morning and the afternoon. Heavy snow still in the forecast into the mountains, and it's going to continue to add up as well the farther to the west that you go. And again, we could see a couple of inches in southern Indiana. Cincinnati right now, you have 3 inches of snow on the ground, and you have been getting several hours now of heavy snow. That also continues to add up. So watch out in these areas, as we're going to see kind of a mix continuing here. That may be a problem for the commute home and also possibly early tomorrow morning. But the areas in darker green, flash flooding, that is going to be a big problem, and that's also a big story. In addition to the strong winds, again, those gusts entering 40 miles an hour coming out of the northwest, that could cause some problems with flooding, as we still see coastal flood advisories in effect for Florida and also around our low, as the tides will come in later on this afternoon and we'll see some overwash situations. Light snow now moving toward Pittsburgh, and it's going to continue to head up to the northeast. We'll see that snow also in the area through the morning hours as that low continues to track to the north. Those winds will whip around, and so we're not done with this storm system anytime soon. We will continue to bring you live reports on this changing situation throughout the afternoon and the evening hours. For more information, when you're away from your television set today, you can call us up at weather.com. Now here's Mark with more on the situation that's taking place across the country, including the storms that have been ripping through the southwest. Mark?
And it was a wild night last night in Arizona as winds were gusting 40, 50 miles an hour from outside of Phoenix down towards Tucson as our storm that ripped through California yesterday with the high winds and heavy rains swept its way across the desert southwest. The heavy downpours in California led to serious flooding in many areas. These pictures from Northern California, where you can see swollen creeks that were pushed out of their banks, and they flooded the homes and cars. This was a real mess there. Some showers around this morning, but nothing like the deluge. Should be light. It should not aggravate the flooding, but I have real bad news for you in Northern California. It looks like a series of storms are all lined up in the Pacific, and they'll be coming in over the next few days and right through the weekend. This is not a good situation at all. As you can see, some very heavy rains from the last storm that just came roaring on through. We had reports of over a foot of rain in these mountains outside of Southern California here. So we did have some impressive rains that led to disastrous flooding and mudslides and lots of problems on the Pacific Coast Highway. Well, the storm system has split into two pieces here, and the southern piece being driven along by a jet stream of winds that have been ranging anywhere from 170 to about 200 miles an hour. So this is one powerhouse El Nino enhanced jet stream coming right on through. And you felt it last night and early this morning in Arizona. And those heavy downpours have moved through the Valley of the Sun, moving through the southeast Arizona right now. Widespread, a third to two-thirds of an inch of rain. And in the mountains, we are looking at snow. Now to the west, you can already see the next system approaching. As that next system approaches, well, what we have here is the threat for more rain coming into Northern California tonight with this. Then out here, a lot of energy to the west. And this energy to the west has the potential to develop into a real nasty wind and rainstorm Thursday night and Friday here in Northern California. And then looking on beyond that, there's more energy out here. So a series of storms are taking aim on the Pacific Northwest. So I wish I had better news for you, but any type of drying here in California is very brief. And unfortunately, your weather woes here are far from over, as we are getting into quite a stormy period here for the West Coast. Here you can see on the satellite radar composite, storm breaking into two pieces, southern piece charging through Arizona. This energy will translate into a nasty storm for Florida, probably around Friday or so. So your woes aren't over either. And then here's the northern piece of the storm weakening, but still pushing some heavy showers into the northern coast around Arcata. And then you can already see signs of the next system bearing down on Northern Cal. In Arizona,
And make no deposits, pay no interest, and make no